After spending some time with it, I thought it might be helpful to share what I have noticed so far, because an adjustable base is one of those things that sounds simple until you actually live with it every night. At its core, this is not a full bed frame. It is the moving base that sits under your mattress. If you already have a bed frame you like, this is meant to fit inside that setup, so you are not starting over from scratch. I think this makes the most sense for people who spend time in bed doing more than just sleeping, like reading or watching television, or for anyone dealing with snoring, reflux, back tension, or just trouble getting comfortable on a flat mattress. In my case, the reason I wanted to try an adjustable base was snoring. I sleep with a partner, and small changes in head elevation can make a real difference. I went with a split king arrangement, so each side can move independently. That part matters in real life, because we do not go to bed at the exact same time, and we do not like the same sleep position. With this setup, I can raise my head and shoulders a bit, and the other side can stay flat. There is less compromising, and it has cut down on the little nightly adjustments that used to turn into a whole conversation. The base comes with wireless remotes. In day-to-day use, that is what you touch the most, so it matters that it is simple. The remote has dedicated buttons for moving the head and the foot, and it also has preset positions. I actually ended up using the presets more than I expected early on, just because it gave me a starting point. The one I keep coming back to is the anti-snore preset, since it raises the head slightly without feeling like I am sitting up. When I want to reset everything, there is a flat button that takes the base back down without me having to hold the buttons and guess when it is level. One thing that surprised me is how normal it feels once you get used to it. The movement is not jerky. You can hear the motors, but it is more of a steady mechanical sound than a harsh grind. It is noticeable, but it is not something that has been waking me up. If someone is already asleep next to you, they will feel the shift, especially on a split setup where only one side is moving, but it is still pretty controlled. I also have dogs that like to jump up and settle in, and they did not panic or act weird about the base moving. They barely reacted after the first couple of times. Visually, it is a straightforward black base. It is not decorative, but once the mattress is on top, you do not really see much anyway. What I cared about more was whether it felt solid when it was raised. When I have the head up for television, I do not feel wobbling or a sense that it is struggling. The platform feels stable under the mattress, and that stability is what makes the daily experience feel normal instead of feeling like I am balancing on something. Setup was also realistic for a normal home. It is not the kind of thing you want to do alone if you can avoid it, mostly because it is heavy and awkward, not because it is complicated. The instructions were clear enough that I was not guessing what part goes where. Once it was in place, getting it inside my existing bed frame was the part that took the most patience. You are basically lining up a bulky rectangle and making sure it sits properly without pinching cords or leaving it crooked. After that, it is plug it in, pair the remote if needed, and you are ready. In daily use, I mainly adjust the head and sometimes the foot. For snoring, the head elevation is the key. I cannot promise it fixes anything for everyone, but in my house, a slight incline has helped. It also helps when I am congested. For general comfort, lifting the legs a little takes pressure off my lower back after a long day, especially if I have been sitting a lot. I did not expect the leg lift to matter much, but it is one of those things you notice when you go back to a flat bed and your body misses it. There is also a massage feature built in. I want to be clear about what that is in real life. It is vibration, not a kneading massage. If you go in expecting hands-on massage, you will be disappointed. If you go in expecting a vibrating base that can help you relax a bit before sleep, that is closer to what it feels like. It has multiple intensity levels, and I use the lower settings more often. The higher setting is not painful, but it is more intense than I personally want when I am trying to wind down. The sound of the massage is present, but it has not been loud enough to bother other people in the house. It sounds like a steady hum and vibration rather than something rattling. What I like is that you can set a timer for the massage. That matters because if I use it at night, I do not want to fall asleep and have it running indefinitely. I usually set it for 10 minutes, and that is enough for me. 20 minutes feels long, but it is nice to have the option. Another small detail I ended up appreciating is the flashlight on the remote. It sounds like a gimmick, but it is actually useful when I get up at night and do not want to turn on a lamp. It is not bright like a phone flashlight, but it is enough to orient yourself, find the edge of the bed, and not step on something you should not. As far as performance in regular use, it has been consistent. The base goes where I tell it to go, and the remote is responsive. I have not had random disconnects or moments where I had to fight with it. I do think it is worth mentioning that the remote is one more thing to keep track of, and if you lose it in the sheets, you will be doing that familiar bed search. I ended up keeping it in the same spot every morning because otherwise it disappears. There are a couple of limitations to be aware of. If you are sensitive to motion, you will notice when the base moves, and you might not like adjusting it while someone else is asleep. The massage vibration also travels through the mattress, so if one person uses it, the other person may feel it, especially if you are on a shared setup rather than split. Also, if your existing bed frame is tight inside, you may need to take measurements and make sure the base fits the way you expect. In most cases, it is straightforward, but bedroom furniture is not always standardized the way people assume. Overall, living with this adjustable base has been mostly about the little everyday moments. Watching television without stacking pillows, raising my head a bit when snoring is an issue, lifting my legs when my back feels tight, using the vibration for a few minutes and then letting it shut off by itself. It is not something I think about during the day, but I notice it when I sleep somewhere else and lose those options. I will post full information about the classic brand's ergonomic adjustable bed base in the comments section. See you in the following videos.